Hello everyone, hanging by a thread, everything is a disaster latest. Yes, I am talking about Meghan's current situation. It is definitely not smooth. Would you believe it? Do you know what the woman's latest disaster is? You may be right, but not enough. And that is why I am here. I will reveal it now. Have you been thinking about where Meghan Markle was when she was walking down the red carpet a while ago? Do you remember? To put it another way, she was being hauled off that carpet because she was taking an excessive amount of time to pose and show folks her spanking new grin. You know, the kind of thing. And then, of course, that unfortunate woman made an attempt to rid herself of her. You could see the expression of a dagger on Meghan's face, couldn't you? It was as if she was taking offense at your intrusion into my famous zone. Then, of course, she was interviewed by a very effusive story, which I believe was published by either Variety or Entertainment Tonight, which is a news agency that is more on the tabloid side. To put it simply, she was referring to the fact that they were working on multiple projects simultaneously. Keep in mind that there are multiple projects. As for her spouse, the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, he was simply, well, he was overjoyed to be working in the entertainment industry. Now, I don't know about you, but if this is something that makes you happy, what does it look like to be depressed? To put it another way, the individual appears to be a hound dog, doesn't he think? Simply put, he is completely out of his comfort zone and incredibly bored. When it comes to the entertainment industry, what kind of knowledge would he have? You know, it is no secret that Meghan Markle is not a fan of the fact that he is being brought up to do something that is very different from what he is now doing. But there you have it, show business. Well, do you believe Meghan can keep her promise of a Hollywood star life, like when she tries to convince Harry to leave the royal family? If you think Meghan can do it, comment number 1. And vice versa, if you think Meghan can't do it, comment number 2. Personally, I'm always a number 2. If you think about it, you are attempting to establish this large entertainment complex company, Archive Audio Productions, or whatever else you can think of. However, now there is a more significant problem, as one might understand, and this is especially true if you are Meghan and Harry, and you should know that it is not simple. As I have mentioned to you in the past, you absolutely require knowledge. On the other hand, it would appear that people are not, well, present for long enough to contribute their expertise. If they are going to be sprung out, at some point, they might as well show up for the interview with springs, because in the end, they will just be sprung out. I have no doubt that every single desk is mounted on casters, which will allow them to be moved out of the way even more quickly in the event that Meghan becomes totally sick of them, which appears to be getting shorter and shorter. On the other hand, this is something that is really significant in relation to their agreement with Netflix, which is practically hanging by a thread. This is what makes it interesting. She must have been very thrilled, as any author would be, when Netflix made the decision to option her novel. Her books sell quite well, and you can imagine how thrilled she must have been. That Harry and Meghan had paid the $3 million for the book was a statement that was always made public in the beginning. He true copyright and ownership of that particular screenplay for television and streaming is owned by Netflix as well as by Carly herself. This is yet another tissue of falsehoods. A deal has been made. To put it simply, the agreement between Harry and Meghan is that they will serve as executive producers. They believed that if they put their mark on something, it would help people in some way to alleviate the troubles that they were experiencing. It is important to note that there is a successful novelist as well as a successful production. For the time being, it does not appear to have been put into production as of the month of May. After a great deal of excitement, it has been more than a year and a half since it happened. A great deal of rooting and other activities are taking place behind the scenes. Something cast or something similar to that. Now, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But as far as I'm aware, there is nothing now being produced, right? This is where things get even more complicated. However, because there are some individuals who are very concerned about the association of Harry and Meghan as executive producers, these individuals are concerned for the simple reason that there is, if we may use the term, toxicity surrounding their brand and their name all over the world. They believe that this will already determine that this endeavor will not be successful. I will leave it up to you to figure out who these individuals are. Are you able to comprehend how this operates? That viewpoint is now something that you are able to comprehend as well. It doesn't matter what stars you have or what movie you're working on. Even Kevin Costner's most recent film didn't do well, although he did a lot of promotion for it. If these folks will merely garner poor public relations, it won't matter. It is therefore irrelevant what the name is. That has the potential to work against you at times. This is now a radical reassessment, according to individuals behind the scenes, as to whether or not Harry and Meghan are too busy at this point to take on the job of executive producer. Some people believe that if this occurs, it will be yet another humiliating loss for the House of Sussex. However, regardless of the circumstances, it appears that whatever they do, particularly with regard to their branding, will not be well received by people who are in dire need of success. I also want to extend my best wishes to the author, Carly Fortune, for the success of her book, Meet Me at the Lake. It's a shame that you get caught up in these, shall we say, Hollywood politics, because she truly deserves it. And it's a shame that you get caught up in them. They were displayed in the very center of the heart. I'm also extremely bored with her. Look at her. She laughed at the very emotional blame of whites for everything performance, which everyone else took very soberly, showing she has no comprehension of Spanish at all. Another lie that she is fluent in Spanish, like she was fluent in French when Craig Ferguson called her out on his show, showing she lied. Certainly, Meghan only cares about herself. I believe she'd mock anyone if it took her fancy or benefited her. Clearly, Meghan is a textbook narcissist, lying every word out of her mouth and stealing designers' clothing and accessories that were never returned or paid for tendencies. As for Harry, well, two old sayings work for him: marry in haste, repent in leisure. He should have listened to his elders. Beautiful Queen Elizabeth II, his grandmother, his grandfather Prince Philip, and his older brother, who all knew Harry very well and loved him for himself. Harry has only himself to thank or blame for the complete mess his life is in, and no one wished this on him when he decides to admit the truth, if ever to himself. Now Harry went to Colombia. Has anyone considered what Harry does and what that country is known for? Bet it's been snowing in the Markle place of stay and a private flight home to avoid TSA. Of course, Harry doesn't abide by laws, so I'm sure he's bringing home kilos of souvenirs. Maybe she'll need another new hose, and Harry will get his first one soon enough. In addition, this could be a new Netflix documentary, led by other than the odious Duffexes. I often wonder if eventually Netflix will create their own about them. It's like Neil once said, they have handed everything to them on a plate, and much is in the public domain, so they cannot do much. A 3-part docu has begun tonight on Channel 5 UK, actually. The rise and fall of Harry and Meghan. There's a tree that is tirelessly producing oxygen for the Harkles, and they owe it an apology. Even now, I don't feel any empathy for him. The damage is done. He crossed the line, and I don't give a toss about how he or she feels. Right from the start, Harry shouldn't have brought that social climber into royalty. She will never be one. To be honest, I shudder to think what the royal family would be like if they were still part of the senior royals and attending functions, visiting institutions, and being involved with charities. She would have under-the-counter income, which she thought she would be entitled to. Jewelry would go missing, and the charities wouldn't flourish after they leached a share of their income. I won't watch anything they claim to produce, but Harry looks miserable in Colombia. No, Harry looks miserable everywhere anymore. Hard to believe this is the same man that looked so happy until his wedding day. The other day, I searched out older pictures of Harry, and he was always smiling and having a good time. Not anymore. Marriage should not make a person as miserable as he is. But look what he's married to. I'm just trying to work out the point to Harry and Meghan. With all this public stuff, what's the point of this so-called tour they were recently on? What's the point of a book from either of them or a Netflix special? They are irrelevant. There is no real point to them for the public other than ridicule. Certainly, I wouldn't even walk around the corner for any production that has their name even remotely tied to it. She looks so smug while Harry is bored. Love the flowers behind you. I think she hopes we will all forget about all the things she said are in the works. If she can conveniently forget, why can't we? Harry is really starting to understand he made a huge mistake marrying that woman. He'd rather be at Balmoral. He would rather put up with her rather than admit that William and others were right. Such is his ego and stupid stubbornness. Meghan keeps saying something is coming up, but pushes it until the contract expires with nothing, and Meghan blames the company for failing to see it through. Get out and never look back. Netflix. Anyway, these two made the serious mistake of believing they were bigger than one another and turned their backs on those who supported them all their lives. Their families. Without them, the Markle family, the Ragland family, and the British royal family, these two are out on their own delusions. The question is, what are your thoughts on these matters? Individuals, in order to share your ideas, kindly leave a comment below. I deeply appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. Be sure to give the channel a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to it. We will see each other again soon.